All you Mark II guys, this is it. 65,000 miles, 8,000 miles on it, 45,000 miles. It's got 11,000 miles on it, 48,000 miles, 30,000 miles on it. This has 1,800 kilometers? What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are not in the shop. We are on a field trip of sorts. And first and foremost, we are new camera goofing today. I'm only gonna use this new camera for this segment of the video, just in case audio, video gets messed up if the audio is blown out. So I haven't used this camera yet here on the channel, so I don't have all my presets sorted out, or my settings rather. I've only used the camera so far for the new podcast series that my buddy Chris from Overcrest Rally, or Overcrest Productions, and I have started for our Patreon pages. So if you're over on the Patreon, you've heard all about this and you've actually seen episode 1. We've decided to start once a month, if not bi-weekly, maybe twice a month, but right now once a month, podcast series called Ran When Parked. We're gonna give her a test run on just this intro to the episode. So a few episodes ago, I posted a video of showing my friend Ross's Volkswagen collection. And I mentioned in that episode that it was only part of his collection. And the cars that I showed in that episode are on the other side of the wall from my shop. They were just some of the first part of his collection that he'd brought over to that building. But in this episode, we're heading over to my hometown, right down the street from where I grew up and where my father's shop is, to show you guys some of his other cars. I think more cars in this video than were in the last video. So I haven't been in this building for 4 years now, almost 4 years. I think it was March or April of 2021. I bought his German market Mark IIF Polo from him that I built an air suspension setup for, did a Mark I suspension conversion under. We worked with Rotiform on some wheels, and it was a really fun project. It was the last project I put together before I moved to Tennessee. So if you remember that episode of when I picked the 2F up, this is the building we're gonna go see. But we're gonna actually talk about his cars and show you guys a little bit more about what's in that building. All right, guys, we are here, and I am stoked to show you this part of Ross's collection, Volkswagens, mind you. And as I mentioned before, some of my favorite cars he keeps in this building here. It is tight. Okay. Now I'm familiar with almost every single car in here. I don't know where to begin. I don't know where to begin with you guys. So it's a nice day out today. So I might open the doors. We'll get some light in, but also get some heat in here too. So as you guys can see, there's not a lot of room to walk in here. And the cars are bumper to bumper, door handle to door handle. It's crazy. First car, literally right inside the door, is not just a Volkswagen Beetle, but most of you guys who know what you're looking at will know. This is a Mexican Beetle. And this is a new one. New as in, like, I think it's a 2000. I don't even know how to do this. But look at this. Do you guys remember the last episode that we did of Ross's collection? It's over at my shop. This is the car I thought was next door to my shop. This is one of, I believe, 50 of the Volkswagen Eco Diesels they made in the Mark II Polo bread vans. And I had thought that this was the car over at the shop that he had put a Euro 8 valve in. What I forgot about in that episode was that he has since acquired yet another one of these, I'm pretty sure 50 Mark II Polo bread vans that Volkswagen built to promote their 2-cylinder supercharged eco diesel motor in these things. Now this one came over when that motor was like not allowed in the car or something. I can't remember what exactly happened. It came over shortly after its promotional period, so the car was still new, I believe, and the motor had to come out of it. And Ross found it without a motor and ultimately put a Euro 8 valve in it. Well, the one over at my shop, where he's got those cars, is in much better condition and still has the 2-cylinder G40 supercharged diesel in it, which I never even popped the hood in the last episode. Otherwise, you guys would have seen what was actually in it. So he's got 2 of these things, which is just mental. And they all had this same paint scheme and livery on them. And I wish I'd done a little bit more research about this car before the last episode and this episode, because it's all kind of foggy. He told me the whole story about him, and I remember reading about him, but I don't remember all the bits and pieces. You guessed it, that is a Gulf Country. Okay, so I think what's gonna be the best bet for showing you guys some of these cars, we'll start down here at door number 1. Or kind of door number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's see what's behind door number 5. All right. Well, if you guys are longtime subscribers on the channel, you'll remember this car. But this red Mark II GTI was sitting here 4 years ago when in this spot was the Mark II F Polo from Germany that I bought off Ross and pulled out of here and hauled back to my shop. So to go in order, this here is not of this land. And if you're a Volkswagen nerd, you'll know exactly what this car is. Now, new, old, rare, not rare, domestic or import, I love weird cars. I really do. I love this stuff. And this here is a Volkswagen Gol. And in the last episode, well, 2 episodes ago, you heard me talk a whole lot about the Volkswagen Gol, G-O-L. And the Gol 1 was the front-engined, air-cooled, front-wheel drive car. That is what I want to do for a swap in the DKW 750, right? Well, the Gol evolved from a front-engined air-cooled car to a front-engined longitude-mounted water-cooled car, which is what you see here. Brazilian-made, South American market only. This one here is a little worse for wear, you know, but it came up super cheap and Ross scooped it up because there may or may not be another one of these in this building. And this one basically is the parts car. Pretty cool, definitely parted out, but cool nonetheless. It's got this cool little like C-pillar window here. So we've got an A, B, C, D pillar, maybe? But it's got this really cool like odd shaped back side window, which the door has too. You know, the door has a post in it with a side window, and then this one does too. And this is a static window, doesn't open. Yeah, very bizarre car, but I like it. I like weird, bizarre stuff. You see these cars in Brazil, static on the sills with like 19-inch wheels tucked way up inside. I mean, they do some wild stuff to these cars in Mexico and Brazil. The old Mexican registration, pretty cool. Then over here, we've got a time capsule Mark II GTI. I mean, absolute time capsule. 16 valve, CIS, all stock, all original. Still has the dual round front setup, big bumper car, still has the original 2-piece BBSs on it that came factory. Tornado red, not even tornado pink yet. With the Recaro interior, come on. This is the car, right? All you Mark II guys, this is it. Unmolested Mark II GTI. What do we got for mileage? 89,000 miles. Look at that. I think this was a one-owner car too. I can't remember what cars are one-owner cars in this collection, but 89,000 original miles. Still has the GTI floor mats. How sick. Look at the headliner. I've had a handful of these Recaro seats. I actually had a red Mark II GTI that I had these seats in. It's crazy to think how expensive these seats are now. I think I got mine for free and another pair for like 250 bucks. But it's so cool they still have the original 2-piece BBSs on them. So cool. I think he wants to get this car out this summer too, because why would you not want to drive an all original 16 valve Mark II GTI. Over here, we've got a really cool old Volkswagen dealership sign. All right, right here, Mark I Caddy, which is the Rabbit pickup truck, kind of just the nickname we here in America have given it. The Volkswagen Caddy is actually like a little transit van model over in Europe, but here we didn't get those, and we just refer to the Rabbit pickup trucks as Volkswagen Caddies. It's got OEM snowflakes on it, which is pretty cool. I don't think the Caddies would have come with snowflakes, but these look like they're color matched to the truck. I've actually never seen this truck outside. It'd be cool at some point this summer to get a bunch of them outside. I know that's what Ross wants to do. This one had a sunroof put in it at some point. I know that was the big thing back in the 80s and 90s. Tan interior. Check that out. I love that this thing's like stayed factory. What do we got for mileage? We've got 60,000 miles on this one. A lot of these cars he's bought specifically because they're low mileage cars. One of my all-time favorite Volkswagens, so hard to film them in here. This here is a B2 Quantum Coupe. Now all of you guys in Europe know these as the Passats. Look at this giant side window. Big old taillights. But here in America, they were the Quantum. But I love the B2 coupes because of how atrociously ugly they are. Look at the size of that rear side glass for a two-door Volkswagen. Reminds me of my Volkswagen I had and how big those side windows are. Very unloved car, generally, for Volkswagen enthusiasts. So this is the B2 platform, our only Quantum platform. So in Europe, they had the Volkswagen B1 Passat and then B2 Passat, which is what this was, which came in a wagon, a two-door weird coupe like this, a four-door sedan, and a four-door weird hatchback, which we never got here. But here in America, the B1 was a Dasher, and here the B2 was the Quantum. And then we finally saw the Passat model, or the car that was branded as the Passat model, in the B3. Ross, we gotta tighten this place up. So B2 Quantum Coupe, coolest steering wheels. And they were just so oddball. 84,000 miles. Okay, door number 4. Here we go. Wow, for the first time ever, there's 2 or even 3, yeah, 2 car spots available in here. That's crazy. 5, 6, and 7 are all vans. We got transporters here. I think this is a Euro market car. Can't quite remember. I think this is a Euro market transporter. I do believe. I know this van again is a Euro market car. Squeeze down through here. Here we go. Ooh. Ooh. So cool with the sliding window. I'm not a huge Vanagon guy, but I love this one. I love the color. It's a manual because Europe. I feel like all of these things were automatics here in the States. We did get some manuals, but got the round headlights on the Vanagon. This is such a cool look. This thing slammed on the ground cruising down the road would look so sick. Actually, shout out to my buddies at Lowdown Transporters in England. They're actually building one, I think this generation, almost in this color, on BBS RSs right now, and it is as low as you can go, and it looks pretty cool. I've got the bus and a couple of Greenbriers waiting in queue, so we don't need to think about buying any of this stuff. Nothing at all. So this one here has the 2.5 5-cylinder in it, one of the best sounding motors of all time. And this blue one here, this Eurovan, is VR6 powered. That right there is a Volkswagen Volkswagen. And we were just talking about how crazy my Volkswagen was and how crazy the side glass was. I forgot that Ross even had one. Someone put a sunroof in this one too, I'm telling you. But the Volkswagens were super cool. I like them far more than the sedans and the coupes. They had this really cool vertical taillight. Just really cool, I don't know, just a cool car. 2-door wagon, huge side glass. Foxes are still super affordable. I feel like there's a very small market of people that really like these cars. I really like the gauge cluster, like the instrument cluster in these cars. You've got your headlight switches and whatnot. Your hazards, I think, are up here too. They're up on the gauge pod. Yeah, your hazards, your rear window defrost. Boy, this brings back memories. What a cool car. Mileage, 139,000. Okay, so the Fox is number 8 in here. Next to it, we have a Volkswagen Thing. The Things never really did anything for me. They're definitely cool, like summer cruisers, that's for sure. All right, car number 10. You may have seen it in the background of some clips already, but we have the infamous Mark III Golf Harlequin. Volkswagen only made 264 of these Mark III Golfs for the US market. They did end up making the Harlequin Polo or Lupo, which you saw in the last episode of Ross's collection over at my shop. He's actually got a European Polo Harlequin, but here, the US market Mark III Golfs, they only made 264 of them. And what's really cool is Ross actually holds the registry for the Harlequins. So if you have a Harlequin, you can hit up Ross and basically find out where that car came from, who owned it. And they made 4 base color Harlequins. And Ross, up until a few years ago, had all 4 base colors, including this one. But he had 5 of the 264, which I think is just mental. Pretty cool car. They've never really done anything for me, but it's cool that Volkswagen made a car like this. Ross has owned this since it had 8,000 miles on it. He doesn't drive it much at all. This thing has 32,000 original miles on it. All right, I know you guys saw it, so let's talk about it. Guess what this is? This here is another Volkswagen Gall. Now, if you remember what the front engine air-cooled Gall 1 that Ross owns looks like, we talked about that car in the episode about his cars that are over there, which has the front engine air-cooled front-wheel drive setup in it. Well, this here is, I don't know if they would call this a Gall 2 or not, but this was a water-cooled front-engined facelift version of that Gall. So the body is almost identical. They changed a few things. They went to plastic bumpers. I think they changed the taillights and headlights a little bit. So this is a facelift version of the Mexican, or Brazilian rather, Volkswagen Gall. So this is the Gall CL. This is a water-cooled, longitude-mounted front-wheel drive Gall. This car here came out of Texas, and the story, if I remember it correctly, that Ross told me was a professor at a college in Texas brought this into America and did an alcohol injection system on it. I do believe they tried to get this thing to run like super efficiently back in the 80s or 90s and had converted it to run on alcohol. I think that was the story. But this thing has run on gasoline since Ross has bought it. And honestly, this is one I want to buy. I really want to buy this car off of him and do something fun with it on the channel. I know the Gall 1 is the one that I've always wanted, the front engine air-cooled car. But perhaps we scratch that itch with doing a Gall 1 inspired swap in the 1960 750 Junior. Maybe that's what we do there. I think this would be a pretty fun project on the channel. Lord knows I've got far too many projects, but this thing already runs and drives. Probably doesn't need too much more to be like a road driver. But it'd be cool to do suspension and wheels on this thing because nobody builds these cars in America. Rust free. I've never had it on a lift, but it's real solid from, you know, the top down. All right, door number 3. We're up to car 11 now, which is right here, the Gall. And right here is one of my other favorites of his. This here is a Mark I Polo. But this Mark I Polo, yep, right-hand drive. This is a British market Mark I Polo. So technically this is a facelift Mark I Polo because it's got the plastic bumpers and it's got the updated grille and headlights. Pre-facelift Mark I had metal bumpers and had a metal grille, or a different grille than this one. So this signifies the facelift with the plastic bumpers. I do believe they went to a Mark I Golf instrument cluster in the facelift, because my Derby I had also had that. Yeah, that's got the Mark I instrument cluster. So the early Mark I Polos had a Polo specific gauge cluster. When they facelifted them, they got a lot of Mark I components in them. But look at how clean this car is. Look at this thing. Dashboard, seats, headliner, door cards. Look at that, it shuts like a brand new car. So check this out. Mileage on this thing is accurate. It's got 11,000 miles on it. And it had 10,000 on it back a handful of years ago. Ross and I drove a whole bunch of these cars, and he drove this one around for a little bit and started racking some miles up on it. So this thing has just over 11,000 original miles on it. How cool is that? Look at the body line of the Polo to the Gull. It's like same but different. All right, so car number 12. Car number 13, we've got a Karmann Ghia. I've said this before, but I don't know enough about the Karmann Ghias unless we're talking about the Type 34 Razor. That is my favorite Karmann Ghia ever made. The Razor is just unreal. But this one here, he's had for a while, I'm pretty sure. Don't really know the story on this one. He's got a few air-cooled cars in here. So car number 13, the Karmann Ghia, which leads us into another air-cooled car. If you know Beetles, you know this is not of this land. This here is yet another Mexican Beetle, modern Beetle. Check this out. This basically has Volkswagen Fox interior in it. Oh no! When was the last time that door opened? Oh, this has a race setup in it. Race steering wheel and shift knob. This thing has 95,000 kilometers. Okay, so cut that in almost half. So this is still a low mileage car, but basically like a Fox interior. And you'll see with the red Beetle down at the man door, that one is also a Mexican Beetle, which I think has the factory steering wheel, which is the Fox 2-spoke steering wheel. Pretty crazy. I do believe this is like a 98. I think he's got a 98, like a 2005. But, you know, some of the giveaways of modern Beetle that we didn't get here in America. Car number 14 leads us into car number 15, a Mark I Jetta Coupe. One of the coolest Mark I's made, in my opinion. You never see these cars anymore, especially just cruising down the street. Especially a coupe. Two-door Jetta. But the interior is super cool in this car. We gotta get these things out. Ross, you gotta drive these things, buddy. This one, 126,000 miles. Even has a tow hitch. Would have loved to know what this Mark I Jetta Coupe towed around back in the day. Some of you guys may notice, this Mark I Jetta Coupe has American bumpers on it, but it has European headlights and grille in it. So our Mark I Jettas did not have the 2 single square headlights. It had a 4 square headlight setup. So it had 2 squares on each side of the grille. And this is the European front end, which in my opinion is far cleaner. I like it. It's less busy, it's more simple. All it needs now is European bumpers, and the European bumpers tucked in far more than these. These are the park bench bumpers. I mean, look at that. All right, so I closed the overhead door to just keep the sun from overexposing all of our shots here. So moving on to car number 16, and here is a German market, or mainland Europe market, Mark II Polo Coupe. Now the Mark II Polo Coupe that I bought off of him was just like this, but it was the 2F Polo, which was the facelift version of this car. So this car, being a Mark II Polo Coupe, is the pre-facelift, which had the round headlights. This one has a dual round setup, so it's got the 2 headlights on either side, with the early small bumper plastic bumpers. And notably, when we get to the rear, had the vertical taillights still. So here at the back, we've got the vertical taillights, where mine, being a 2F, was the facelift version of this car, which is basically the same body, but had wider taillights. It had the square headlights up front. Kind of looked more like a Mark III, kind of more Mark III style than Mark II, which this has more style of a Mark II. So this one came from Germany, I do believe. My favorite part of this car is the OEM Plus dealer optioned Blaupunkt radio equalizer, which is so cool. It mounts down on the tunnel and sits up next to the shifter, because as you can see here, there's no radio. It's got a radio delete with a vent in it, where the blower motor controls are. It's so cool. And to nerd out just a little bit more, this car was the inspiration of where I mounted the Airlift 3H controller in my 2F Polo. All right, the one behind it, one of my favorites in this collection as well. This here is a Mark II Volkswagen Derby. A Mark II Derby. I think the Derby, since I was a kid, since I ever learned that Volkswagen made a Derby in Europe, was one of my favorite cars that Volkswagen made. Just the coolest thing. It was like half Rabbit, half Jetta, half like Scirocco. It was just weird. It was like a really cool sporty looking car. And these are kind of like a Jetta coupe, kind of, where it's got a trunk and only 2 doors. Now, if I remember correctly, they only made the Mark II Derby for 1 year. I think it was 1 year, maybe 2, before they dropped the Derby name and went to the Polo Saloon. Derby GL. Such a cool car. Such a cool piece of Volkswagen history, too. And look at the size of the triangulated window on the door. It is humongous. Look at that. But doesn't open. That would be one heck of a smoker window if that thing hinged open. Door cards are in great shape. Interior's in great shape. Seats, headliner. What a cool car. So this thing has 52,000 kilometers on it. So this thing has like 30,000 miles on it. It's so crazy. But instrument cluster is just so cool. I love the gauge pod hood. It's just got this really cool shape to it. I think this one's up there with one of my favorite cars in the water-cooled stable. So going back to car number 1 in here, this is the clean version of the Gall, that roached out silver one. This one here is like in great shape. It's got a really cool 3-spoke steering wheel. So basically he picked this one up and then picked the other one up to have as a parts car. Because these cars are not from this land, if you need a part, it's nice having a second one. It's a 4-door Fox sedan, 2-door Mark II Derby. You know, they're kind of similar. 86,000 original miles. Just a Craigslist find to have 86,000 miles on a, basically, I believe a 1-owner, all original 4-door Fox. The Fox sedans still have yet to grow fully on me. I haven't really had any interest in owning one, but the more years that pass, the less and less you see of these things. So it's pretty cool he was able to scoop up one of these things. We're a few rows from the end, but we got a few more to go. So next to the Fox 4-door is a Mark II Jetta GLI. Now, the Mark II Jetta GLIs came with a 16-valve dual overhead cam motor in it. I don't know why he's got the grille and headlight out of this thing. It's got the BBS RAs, I believe, RMs, but I do believe those are original GLI BBSs. It's got the Recaro interior, front seats, and the back seats. The Mark II GLI is such a cool car. Behind it is a Mark II Scirocco. And we'll spoil the next aisle because the one next to it is, yes, a Mark I Scirocco. And this one here is a 16-valve. Which I think is so cool because they did make 8-valve Mark II Scirocco's here. If you want to call them a Mark II, basically the 2nd-gen Scirocco's. Again, with the big, ugly US bumpers. But these things are so cool. My dad had a couple of these when I was a kid. He did have a 16-valve black Scirocco, and I fell in love with these cars. Out of all the Volkswagens I've owned over the years, I have not owned a Scirocco. I love the Mark II Scirocco dashes, too. See like how flat and slanted it is. Mileage on this one is 65,000 miles. Body by Carmen. Here's a good view of the engine bay of the Gulf Country. Look at how low the engine sits in the engine bay. You know, we've got the 16-valve that sits in this Mark II. So basically the front ends of these cars are the same. They're both Mark IIs. But look at how far down that motor sits. It's crazy to see a body lift on one of these cars. We'll be over here again. I'm gonna move a lot of these cars for Ross. I'm even gonna bring some over to my shop where he's keeping some other of the cars. So I'll be over here again once summer gets here, and I'm sure I'll trickle in some more content here, pulling some of these cars out in some future episodes. So we've got the Gulf Country, kind of a bummer, we can't pull it out right now. One of the coolest Mark IIs ever built. synchro, all-wheel drive, lifted off-road golf. And then we're back down to the Polo bread van, eco diesel project. Let's make our way over to the Mark I Scirocco here. Mark I Scirocco, I think one of the most iconic, coolest shaped Volkswagens ever built. I do believe this car has seriously low miles. Those Mark I Scirocco steering wheels are so cool. The Scirocco dash and instrument cluster. What a cool sports car. 45,000 miles. Which leads us into another Mark I Rabbit. He used to have so many of these things. Mark I Rabbit with air conditioning and power steering. Original wheel covers. Not sure what year this one is. This is a late Rabbit, so between 81 and 84. But this must be an LS, if I remember correctly, because it's got the power steering, the AC, and it's got the fake leather interior. I've got one of these steering wheels, the 2-spoke with the little gel coat covered emblem in it. Mine's blue as well. I've got that exact steering wheel. A Rabbit LS. This one I think has super low miles too. This does have the pop-out smoker window in the front door. LS has all the chrome door handle, chrome window crank, full pleather interior. Look at all the chrome trim on the door cards. This was bougie for a Rabbit. 5-speed as well, not a 4-speed. That's a luxury for the day for sure. 48,000 miles. All right, here we are. The SLC VR6 Corrado. Because you can't have a full Volkswagen collection without a Mark I Scirocco, a Mark II Scirocco, and then the Corrado. I don't believe he has a G60 Corrado, which was the 4-cylinder supercharged model. But this one is an SLC, which has the VR6 in it. But the dash is really cool because it's almost like a cockpit. The center of that dash faces you and almost turns away from the passenger. Another Body by Carmen car. One of the coolest sounding motors. I definitely subscribe to that. Definitely one of the coolest sounding engines that Volkswagen made. But what's behind it? A Mark I Volkswagen Derby. Now, Ross did have all 3 generation Derbys. He had this Mark I, he had a Mark 1.5, and he still has the Mark II Derby down there. Now, I bought his Mark 1.5 Derby. It was the red right-hand drive British market car. Now, I built that car before I had the YouTube channel, but I've talked about that car and shared photos and stuff over the years in certain episodes. But that was basically this bodied car with the plastic bumpers, square-ish headlights, different taillights, and a Mark I gauge cluster. The Mark I Derby was more Mark I Polo orientated. Had the single round headlight, had a different grille, had the metal bumpers, and had a Polo specific instrument cluster, which is not the Mark I Golf or Rabbit style. This thing's been customized. The paint, the seats. This car's been around. If you're an OG East Coast Volkswagen guy, you'll remember seeing this Derby at H2O in like 2006, I think. 2005 or 2006. I don't remember who owned it before Ross, but it had been around. An enthusiast owned this car. It's been lowered a little bit. I think it's on like just lowering springs or something. But this has to be one of my favorite cars in the fleet, only because it's a Mark I Derby. I can't really get the best shots of these cars for you guys because they are just shoehorned in here. It's a Mark I Cabrio. What am I gonna move to get back there? A Holy Grail Volkswagen for a Volkswagen collection. A Mark I GTI. Now, what is important to mention is Ross has just sold, or in the last few years, Ross sold 2 more Mark I GTIs he had. He has this red one that he's kept with the red interior with AC, and he sold a black GTI and a white GTI. So he had the trifecta Mark I GTI colors. The red one, a black one, and a white one. And he sold the black one and the white one because the Mark I GTI market went absolutely haywire back a few years ago, and they were selling for crazy money. But he had to keep one. You got to keep one. You can't sell them all for what they're worth now. The red seats, so cool. 75,000 miles. Steering wheel needs a good cleaning. But what a cool car. Red dash. Golf ball shift knob. Iconic for a Mark 1 GTI, as well as the lower gauge pod on the center console. Yep. One of the cars. Factory snowflake still, all original car. Many of you guys know my dad raced the Mark 1s. I talk about it a lot, or whenever I can on the channel. But my dad circle track raced Mark 1 Rabbits when I was a kid. So I grew up loving, like absolutely in love with Mark 1 Rabbits. 4-door, 2-door, GTIs, whatever. I've owned numerous myself. I've even had a Mark 1 Jetta with a diesel in it. So I love these cars. I got a soft spot in my heart for these cars. Will own another Mark 1 Rabbit at some point. The Beetle we started this episode off with, the Mexican Beetle, we can actually get to the inside now. Look at how modern this thing is. We got to clean these steering wheels up. Again, I don't remember what year this one is. I know he's got a 98 and like a 2000, 2001 or something. I think that's what this one is. Another modern Mexican Beetle. And the last one in here, another Mark II Jetta GLI. But that's what the Mark II GLI grille looks like with the factory 16 valve GLI logo. Big bumper car. But again, with the BBS RMs, forgive me if they're not RMs. They're not RAs. I've got RAs on the Auto Union. Recaro seats, front and back. This one has, let's see, 117,000 miles. So I'd say low mileage for a Mark II Volkswagen for sure. Black is a good color for these cars, for sure. I remember when he got this car, it is super clean. Well, how did I get in here? Well, guys, that is a look at the second location of my good friend Ross's Volkswagen collection, notably the water-cooled stuff, notably the vintage water-cooled stuff. Because in the last episode over at my shop, in the building next to my shop, those are mostly like the more modern water-cooled stuff, with the exception of the K70 and like the Brasilia and some of the other like air-cooled stuff that's mixed in. This is notably the vintage water-cooled stuff. He's got some other air-cooled stuff in a climate-controlled building near his shop, which there's a split-window bus, a split-window transporter, a double-cab transporter, a split-window Beetle that's in pieces, but it's a 52 Beetle nonetheless. And I just counted, there's 31 Volkswagens in here right now, with 2 that are missing, so 33. And where the Volkswagen Beetle pan is, could house a small Mark 1 as well. So he's had, at one point or another, 34 Volkswagens in this building, and it is just nuts. I mean, as you've seen, there's no room to do anything in here. You can barely move around, but they're undercover. Yes, they really need to be pulled out and gone through. Ross has encouraged me to take it on whenever I have time. It's something that I really want to do for the car's sake. I mean, to also help Ross out, but to help these cars out too. So I really wanted to show you guys this. I know it's a departure from working on my stuff in the shop, but I was over this way anyway, and I just wanted to make a video showing you guys the insanity of a Volkswagen collection. But every time I come in here, it just blows my mind that he's got some of these cars. You know, they're pieces of history. Well, leave down in the comments below what your favorite car is that's in this building. What's your favorite car? What do you think is the coolest car that we covered today? And what car do you think I should pull out and go through and start driving? Because Ross definitely wants me to get one of these cars out, or more than one, and start driving them throughout the summer to just stretch their legs. What one do you think that should be? We might be limited on how much work is involved in some of these cars, but take a pic and leave it down in the comments below. Well, anyway, that's it for this episode, guys. I'm gonna squeeze my way out of this place. If you're interested in the Harlequin registry or learning more about these cars in detail, you can go to rossvw.com, where he set up a website basically talking about his collection and the details of the cars. All right, guys, that's it for me. I've got more work to do over at my shop. Thanks so much for watching. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. We'll see you in the next episode.